What's up, everybody? So I decided to stop being like these people that hide their faces all the time. Stop being like these people that have no integrity, have no bravery, and decided to put my face with all my work and to add credibility to myself while doing so. And also to try to set the bar a little bit higher as far as what I plan to continue doing. I didn't make this YouTube channel to argue with idiots. I made this YouTube channel to expose this targeting program. And when I started this channel, what was it? October of 2022. I knew a hell of a lot, but I know way more now, probably twice as much. And instead of rambling and rambling and rambling and rambling and rambling and rambling and rambling, the most important thing that I want to convey is how discreet and how effective this really is. So it's discreet. So this program is discreet and it's effective, both from a social and a scientific angle. Scientifically, it's invisible, and it takes knowledge to understand it. It takes equipment to see it. Socially, who cares? It's your problem. Is it illegal? Because I've never heard of it. And is it believable? No, not believable. So all of this together, and that's only part of it. In addition to how they can call you crazy, they'll just call you crazy instead of believe you. Now think about how could so many people just jump to a conclusion to call you crazy without being logical about it. Now, these are our loved ones that are calling us crazy a lot of the time. These are strangers. I've never been called crazy by a stranger before in my life. This will be the first time ever. So, socially, this creates this situation now where the person you're trying to convey a message to could call you crazy, and that could be influenced. That could be influenced by VTK, and it could be influenced by subliminal messaging. And they don't need a chip for it to happen. Dr. Robert Duncan talked about how anyone in this program, there's this thing called spidering, where it's a web. They watch every single person you interact with, and they actually influence them with or without you being around them. So they can do this to try to make people hate you. They can do this to try to make people love you. They can do this to try to get you to cheat on your wife. They can do this to try to get your wife to cheat on you. Anything and everything is possible with what they do with our social networks. So you got to figure out your own shit, right? This is your problem. That's how life is. We're all selfish like that. And then if you report this to anybody, it's either not believable or is this even illegal? I've never even heard of this. And then we don't even have people that actually watch the safety guidelines that are set. So the FCC is just MIA. They're fucking nowhere to be seen. They don't have a building here. I've told them hundreds of times how dangerous this all is. And then with the more that I've figured out is they don't even need to bombard me with ionizing radiation, in the words of Dr. James C. Lynn. They could use a discrete power value and still do brain state deterioration and still do voice to skull, or use the subliminal messaging and still do hypnosis / stream of communication. So this is currently set up in a way that this corruption is enabled. And then if you bring in the FBI, right, they're supposed to investigate anything in this country, but they're purposefully not investigating us, then it just creates even more wiggle room for corruption. It's not a gray area. The entire United States is an ominous cloud of gray over it with this program being active and effective. And what is it? Well, it's radio frequency, also known as RF, that is being pulsed specifically at one person. One person. Because if two people felt this effect at the same time in the same location, then you've got a problem. You've got a problem from the perspective of the people that are running this program. So what this is it's got to be narrow band. It's got to be a narrow spike of energy. Otherwise, if it was a pulse across the whole floor, there's a really strong likelihood everybody's going to feel it. And in addition to that narrow band pulse, this is one characteristic for it to only be one person. It's got to be a narrow pulse. And they also monitor your brain state so they can get it synced up perfectly. So this is a brain, a shitty brain, but they monitor brain state. So they do that so that they can get this perfect. Because if they're reading with radio waves, and they are, our entire world is constantly scanning, okay? That's part of what happened in 2001, which was a false flag attack, in my opinion. Because even then, we had the ability to see a problem before it starts. You know what I mean? So they enabled and allowed that to happen. And then they said, you know what? I can't trust anybody in this bitch. We got a brain state monitor everybody. So that's essentially what happened. And it was written in the Patriot Act that that's what the plan was. But I can't find the exact phraseologies that at one point in time I thought I had seen to the effect. So whatever. And I even had a lawyer tell me that that's what it was. It's the Patriot Act, monitoring all of our brain states to make sure that nobody's trying to blow shit up like V for Vendetta. Whatever, all right, whatever. Move back to the science. So for this to affect only one person, it's a narrow pulse, and they're monitoring your brain state to time it perfectly. So now if I go to this $65 spectrum analyzer, and that's another thing I've learned in the last 2 years, is that we don't have to spend $25,000 to get a handheld meter that can pick up electronic warfare. You just need to learn and learn and learn and learn until you realize what electronic warfare is. If it's affecting one person, it's a narrow pulse. If you're feeling it, it's got to do nerve cell response. If you're feeling this, it's got to do nerve cell response. If you're feeling it on your pain level and not your outmost layer of skin, that's going to be gigahertz on your outmost layer of skin. It's going to burn your surface layer first, stimulate your surface layer first. But megahertz and kilohertz has more penetration value, so it's going to go through that and stimulate your nerve cell walls, nervous system. So that's what Dr. Alan Frey's research was in megahertz. When he says microwave auditory effect, he meant fucking megahertz. And this is all a fact that this is what's happening. Another thing is, your brain runs on 70 millivolts, plus or minus 70 millivolts. Plus or minus 70 millivolts. And a microvolt is 1,000 millivolts. So when we're reading this 100 microvolts, only 100, that's a fraction, that's a tenth of a millivolt. Now when I pick this up and hold it, you see this value will increase a lot of the time. Right now it's not doing it, of course. Well, it's still doubled it. It's at 400 microvolts now. Typically when I pick this up, when my targeting is super severe, it'll be at a millivolt. A lot of the times it's way over a millivolt. I've seen this as high as 70 fucking millivolts. That's enough to completely pulse my brain with whatever the fuck they want to do. But that amount of power is not necessary with how advanced this technology is. Because if you think about it, if your nervous system is just like a circuit, right? So you've got a positive current traveling down your nervous system because you want to pick up a cup. So you've got this positive current, and this is oversimplified, of course, because I'm not a neuroscientist. But if you get pulsed with a specific radio frequency that's targeting this part of your nervous system, whether it be positive or a negative charge, this is going to interfere with your body's nervous system. No matter what the charge is. Whether it's a microvolt or a millivolt, that's still going to interact with your biology in a negative way. And this is all invisible. This is all done invisibly. So, and then we're lied to about it. If anybody reports this to the police department is left in the dark through strategic compartmentalization while they're tortured with this discrete technology. And I've gone through this for fucking 12 years now, or more. 12 years or more now. And V2K and subliminal messaging will look identical to targeted people. What's the difference? Do you know the difference? There's practically no difference when it comes to hearing it, experiencing it. There's practically no difference. V2K is pulses of megahertz most of the time. Subliminal messaging is a constant stream of hypnosis. So this is a constant stream also, because how could they pulse that frequency at you unless they know where you are? So both of these are cruel and unusual punishment that have to do with constant surveillance. And they're remote neural monitoring you through doing transcranial stimulation, which is a modern development of MK Ultra, which is illegal. So every element of this is illegal, and they were given cease and desist already. So this violates the False Claims Act of the telecommunications infrastructure for them to be doing a variation, an extension of MK Ultra, and to try to say it's because of 2001. The fuck, no, it is not. No, it is not. You're torturing American citizens, and you know it, and I know it. I've lived through this for years. So it's going to seem identical. They're both constant streams of communication, and this noise harassment is part of subliminal messaging that I've documented. When it comes to documenting evidence, a lot of the times it can be all over the place, and then it needs to be categorized and logged, you know what I mean, appropriately after the fact. So my channel, the purpose of my channel is not to put on a show like somebody with 1 million followers. This is not a show. This is to teach people about this torture program that's so easy to just be a cold son of a bitch to people and be oblivious to the fact that you're influenced with the same thing. The last 10 times you were sick in your lifetime, it was probably due to radio frequency exposure. It could be everything from the flu to feeling groggy to a hangover. It doesn't matter if you had 10 Jello shots. I bet your hangover has to do with the radio frequency field that you're being struck with. Your body most likely could recover from those 10 Jello shots. Humans are amazing, amazing beings, and we are all being degraded with this technology. And the CIA will tell you point blank, yes, that's exactly what's happening. You just have to watch their 2-hour-long podcast, bro.